Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
Well, we'll begin the tropics with the latest information on our newest tropical storm here, the second one of the season, this Tropical Storm Bill. And this is the very latest information. Notice the winds are up just a little bit compared to what they were, now up to 50 miles an hour. The forward speed has increased. It's moving toward the northeast now about 21 miles per hour. And the pressure has fallen. It's 1,007 millibars, or 29.74 inches. Now, it's centered 185 miles to the west-northwest of Bermuda, and that's about as close to Bermuda as it's going to get. It's going to begin to pull away from there and accelerate on up toward the northeast. But because it did get so close to Bermuda, it was necessary to put up tropical storm warnings. I haven't seen any winds there as really as strong as tropical storm force, but they have been up to about 35 miles an hour. But now, once this tropical storm begins to pull away, it should begin to weaken pretty soon, and there's nothing else really in the path. We do expect the storm to move toward the northeast, to stay well away from the United States, to stay well away from the Canadian Maritimes as well. So it doesn't look as if anybody else in this part of the world is going to have to worry very much about Tropical Storm Bill. Now here's our latest satellite picture, and visible pictures starting to get dark on the end. But what happened this afternoon as we analyzed the satellite pictures, once the reconnaissance aircraft left there early this afternoon, it did seem to get better organized, and that's why the winds have increased a little bit. And the estimated pressure now, estimated from the analysis of satellite pictures, has fallen just a bit. We can take a look at another picture here and see what has happened this afternoon. This will show it better in the bright orange here on our infrared picture. Well, we lost some.
Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
Time for a look into the tropics, and just like that, that's how things can change in the tropics. Last night at this time, we didn't have a named tropical system in the Atlantic. We didn't even have a depression. And tonight, we have our second named tropical system. This is Tropical Storm Bill. What happened here is when the hurricane hunters went out to check this system out during the late morning and early afternoon, they found that it had intensified overnight and gotten better organized, and indeed winds particularly to the east and to the southeast of the center were over tropical storm strength. So on the basis of that information, the Hurricane Center went ahead and named this Tropical Storm Bill. The good news here is that Bill is going to be staying well offshore of the east coast of the U.S. and even Canada, and is going to be whisked out to sea. It's already moving well over 20 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds at 50 miles an hour. That as of the 8 p.m. intermediate advisory. They were coming every 3 hours now because there are tropical storm warnings out still for the island of Bermuda. But notice that Bill is to the north of Bermuda, at least it is centered north of Bermuda, and it looks like that it's going to pretty much pass by with just the briefest of side swipes of Bermuda, and I would not be surprised at all to see those tropical storm warnings discontinued here as we head on through the next several hours. We'll have to wait and see for the 11 p.m. advisory. That would be the next one. Advisory, the 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time.
The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, time now to check on the tropics, and we'll start you out looking at the very latest on Tropical Storm Bill. Centered at 35.4 north and 65.0 west out there in the Atlantic. 215 miles to the north of Bermuda. There's the tiny island of Bermuda, so it's 215 miles to the north of Bermuda. Sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. moving at a pretty good clip to the northeast at 22 miles per hour, and the central pressure at 1,007 millibars. Let's take a peek at it from a satellite perspective. You'll be able to see again how it's moving off steadily to the north and east. Still a lot of convection or thunderstorms associated with this. As it eventually moves into cooler water, it will eventually weaken. That's the good news. The other piece of good news we can give you is that, again, here's Bermuda. It's well to the north of Bermuda. So although we have seen some towering cumulus clouds, maybe a few showers in this region, I have only seen winds gusting up to around 37 miles per hour, and those were the gusts. Those were not even the sustained winds. So never did get the tropical storm force winds across the island, and all of those tropical storm warnings have been discontinued. That's some good news. The other piece of good news, of course, is that it's not at all affecting the East Coast. We still have some troughiness here, and in fact, it's that trough that's helping to steer this quickly off to the north and east and protect you vacationers in the Outer Banks and give you a pretty decent weekend, we think. It's looking pretty good for you folks across much of the East Coast. Let's go ahead and take a look at the entire Atlantic Basin. And I'll mention now that conditions are becoming a little bit more favorable as we head into the central and western Caribbean. We have some convection or some thunder